How's it going, everyone? It is Andre Williams, and over here we talk stocks and we focus on one thing. Always protect your profits. And today we're going to be talking about SOFI, which was up 4.32% on the day. It also posted up a green day as well. I know many of you would be excited to hear that. We also need to talk about why the CEO continues to buy up some shares. I won't be wasting any more time. Let's jump into the agenda. If you're new to this channel, I just want to let you know we have timestamps down below inside the description. But if you're a shareholder and you're thinking about taking a position, I highly suggest you watch this full entire video. So the first thing we're going to go over is the technical analysis. We're going to be taking a look at the overall price action. We want to know support. We want to know resistance. We want to know what it looks like in a bearish case scenario and as well as in the bullish case scenario. And then we're going to be going on Fintel, taking a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information. The reason why this is important because it does have an impact on the way the stock performs. And then we're going to be taking a look at the order flow distribution. We want to know the buying and the selling behavior on the retail side and as well as on the institutional side. And then when all of that is done, we'll be going into the final thoughts and as well as some more details. So let's get to it. So we're going to do a technical analysis for SOFI. Let's see how it performed on the day. So it ended up closing at $7.01, being up 4.32%. On the low, it tested $6.68. And then on the high, testing $7.16. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 34.515 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 52.043 million shares. So we did have below average volume on the day, but we've seen some strength in the stock. Now, when we take a look at our chart, which is a daily chart, you can see from the RSI down below, it is at 49.85. And then when we take a look at our moving averages here on the chart, we are below the 200-day, the 100-day, the 50-day, and as far as for the 21-day EMA, it is at 691, and we closed right above it at $7.01. And this is exactly what we wanted to see, being above that 21-day EMA. Remember yesterday, it was around 690. So the fact that we closed right at 7, it was great to see that bulls showed up. We ended up testing a low at $6.68, so this is not too bad whatsoever. And as far as for the high today, we ended up seeing $7.16. So going into tomorrow, I would love to see us break above 716 and then seeing if we can make that move going to right here around 741. I feel that would not be too much to ask whatsoever, because if we can get to 741, then there's a strong likelihood we can start seeing 764 or $7.64. If we don't end up getting that, and let's say if we decide to have a pullback, of course, I would love to see a higher low. So if we can be around 690 as far as testing support, that would be perfectly fine because it's still showing some strength. But the moment we break through 668, then where do we want to see support at least wanting to kick in for SOFI? Yes, right here around 630. So if we break 668, we need to hold 630 for things to continue to look good. And also, it will just look like that the stock is continuing to have some consolidation before it gets ready for another move. But do know, if it does get down to 630 and it breaks through $6, we have a gap that needs to be filled to the downside right here around 578. So now let's move on to the short interest information. So we're going to take a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information for SOFI. So scrolling down on the page, green rows indicate new positions, while red rows indicate closed positions. So when we take a look at the recent filings for the 25th, we have Simplify Volt FinTech Disruption ETF that purchased 5,971 shares, and we have Fidelity Advisor Multi-Asset Income Fund Class A that purchased 97,500 shares, and we have J&L Series Trust that has a short position of 1,522 shares. So now when we take a look at the short interest, the off-exchange short volume ratio is at 56.64%, and then for the off-exchange short volume, it is just over 10.20 million shares. Scrolling down on the page, the short shares availability is at 850,000, updated 2 minutes ago, and then for the short biofuel rate, it is at 4.14%. When we take a look at the history of the short volume, we could see for the close of the 23rd, it was at 53.52. And then for the close of the 24th, being at 56.64. And then taking a look at the short interest percentage of the float being at 19.66%, SOFI does continue to have short squeeze potential. Now let's move on to the order flow distribution. Now let's take a look at the order flow distribution for SOFI. So we see on the inflows at 38.54 million, and then on the outflows at 46.06 million. So we had an outflow day. Taking a look at the breakdown, on the large it was 0, on the medium it was 22.37 million, and then on the small it was 16.17 million. Taking a look at the outflow side, you can see on the large it was 1.29 million, on the medium it was 29.86 million, and then on the small it was 14.91 million. Taking a look at the large scale orders in the last 5 days, you can see for May the 25th, which is today, we had that outflow of negative 1.29 million. Taking a look at the small scale orders that tends to represent the retail side, you can see we had more buying than we had selling. And then when we take a look at what happened on the medium, we had more selling than we had buying. And then when we take a look at the large, which represents whales, institutions, and funds, we had more selling than we had buying. And then when we take a look at the turnover ratio, it was at 3.87%. And this is not too bad for a volatile stock like SOFI. We also did see, as far as for yesterday, ended up posting a red day, pulling back, being in that $6 range. It was around $6.72 or $6.71. And the fact that we have come back to reclaim 7 is definitely a good look. I'll talk about it further in the final thoughts, so let's get into it right now. So for my final thoughts for SOFI, when it comes to the price action, it was great to see the green day that we had. Remember what I said in the previous video, we needed to get above the 21-day EMA, which was at $6.90. And the fact that we were able to close above that level does look good for SOFI going into tomorrow. And I want to make sure that is something that you're very aware of. But the key level that we want to look forward to next is right around $7.41. And the reason why this is important, then the next level you want to look for is around $7.64. And this is where it could get very interesting for this play, so add that to your homework. If we decide to have a pullback, I would love for us to form a higher low. And where would that level be? I would love for it to be around $6.70 at the minimum. If we could have that higher low, it definitely does set it up well going into Friday and also going into next week. Of course, I'd have to do another update video depending on the fluctuations that we see in price, but for the most part, things are looking fairly well for SOFI at the moment. Also, when we went on Fintel, taking a look at the recent institutional ownership, we could see institutions loading up on shares. No surprises there. And then when we take a look at the short interest information, of course, this play does continue to have short squeeze potential, and this is why you want to keep it on close watch. Now let's talk about Anthony Noto, who's continuing to load up on shares. If you don't know who that is the CEO. And the only reason why a CEO would be doing this, he feels that the current stock price is undervalued. He sees a lot of upside, and he's going to do what it takes to actually raise the value of the company and also give value to shareholders. So as an investor, this is definitely exciting to hear, because if he's confident, then you should be confident as well. But that's why I always emphasize doing your homework, doing your due diligence, and doing your research. I know they all mean the same thing, but I want to make sure I'm really emphasizing this and you cement it inside of your mind, because at least when all that volatility is happening, you are not panicking. If there's a dip, you take advantage of it because you know that the play does have upside in it. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I can't wait to see how the stock performs going into tomorrow. We'll talk soon.